Back for episode 10 of the Sideline. We got Buddy Shelton of the Hooks Hornets, Morgan Smith of Game Day, and Jay Davis of Texas A&M and Pleasant Grove.
I like how nobody will accept me on their team. I'm just out here on my own team. Nobody
We
wants
got
me.
Morgan Smith of the Hugh Springs Mustangs.
Better than North Lamar Panthers.
Touche.
No doubt.
Do not want to be on their squad.
Yeah, they've had a little bit of a rough season.
Oh, yeah, they
this
had,
year.
they had them a little 4 or 5 day winning streak going on, and that flipped.
That was last year. They've only won a couple games this year.
That ain't what I'm referring to, but
None in district, though.
Yeah, they're over. And they gave up 78 points last week versus the Van Vandals.
that's tough.
But they've got a chance to get it. No, they're eliminated. Spring Hill and
Them Panthers are in it?
Yeah,
Let's
they're-
go.
Yeah, they're playing for the 4th spot this Friday.
Spring Hill's in
Spring Hill's actually favored in that game. So
versus North Lamar.
no, versus Pittsburgh.
Oh, anybody's favorite against.
Hey, I want to throw something out. I forgot about this. So it's 20th year reunion of Pat Tillman's death.
Oh wow!
I remember that almost like it
crazy.
was yesterday.
Pat Tillman was a dude, man.
Yeah, I was really disappointed in our military's leadership on how they handled the not being truthful about that.
Well, it was friendly fire deal. They tried to cover it up.
That's the one guy you wouldn't want. I mean, you wouldn't want anybody killed for friendly fire, but that's worst case scenario. But the cover up makes it way worse.
So not to talk about the cover up, just to talk about Pat Tillman himself, just to know a little bit about what the man did. He was an NFL star, turned down an NFL contract to serve his country and join the Special Forces. And he did. I mean, he walked away from the NFL, joined the Army, said, this is the road I want to take. How do I get into SF? Go through the Ranger side of it. And, and then, hey, where's my first ticket to deploy? Because I want to go defend my country. I want to go fight these guys. And he did. And one big thing I can say about it is, I spent some time in Afghanistan, and they named the USO after him over there. It was the Pat Tillman Foundation built a building, and actually it's still there. They called it the Pat Tillman USO. It was in Bagram, but had his jersey, had a big jersey in there of him where he had signed it and stuff. But this was previous stuff, But that jersey was flown back to the United States when the war was closed down, and it's on display somewhere, I think, out in Chicago somewhere in like a USO monument deal.
Really?
But
Yeah, we just did something. Not every country gets to experience elections like America experiences elections, and these kids now, we haven't had like that real they haven't had their 9/11 yet. Like a generation is going to have something crazy that they remember, and after 9/11, it was just crazy times of pride being in America. And Pat Tillman is a great example of that.
As divided as a country we are, I can remember because I was fresh in the military. I mean, I'd only been in the military almost right at 2 years at that time, and when 9/11 happened, and it was crazy how everybody united and came together.
I'll never forget that. I was standing on a football field at Spring Hill. We practiced in the mornings and in the afternoons, but our first period was athletics, and I remember sitting there and nobody really knew what was going on, but it was like kind of by the time it was over, everybody kind of knew, and I remember coaches being like, "Man, you guys are getting ready to go to war," and not really understanding what that meant. And then I remember leaving school early. Mom told me to go get gas, and that was like a 6-hour ordeal to get a tank of gas. Anyway, shout out Pat Tillman. Sorry to get us off subject there.
No,
It's a good subject, man.
Good subject to
Good
discuss.
I don't see it on the deal, but game of the week. Are we going to talk about PG and Van?
We are.
Van is game of the week.
Oh, okay. I'm by bad.
He threw me off with that last week.
So that is the game of the week.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, let's move right into players of the week. Who do y'all have this week, Morgan?
Well, offensive MVP is going to be Ripken Birdwell. Last year, I believe he was our offensive MVP for the season. 7 touchdowns. in the game last week. Sponsored by Alpha Stone. And then defensive MVPs out of New Boston. Will Irwin, 15 tackles, 4 tackles for loss, 2 forced fumbles. That one's sponsored by Rip England over there in New Boston.
Well, shout out to them boys.
Yep.
Who we have this week is on defense. We're going with Will Irvin, just like you all did. You know, mentioned the 15 tackles and 4 tackles for loss and 2 sacks. But then we went a little different direction. We got Caden Weary of
He's
Decab.
deserving for sure.
5 touchdowns, 230 yards. I mean,
On like 7, how many carries was it? It wasn't a bunch.
I think
No,
13.
10.
yeah.
10
Shout
or
out to him. He had a great. Oh, it's up there.
Yep.
Did he pop that up? Did you pop our MVPs up?
He did.
Okay. All right.
But
Yeah. Shout out, Kate.
Caden
Thank
Weary
you for
had
having this monitor here for us.
a monster game. But you know, Caden Weary is he's been one of the catalysts for this resurgence of Decab football this season, and you know he's been a dude ever since he was a little kid, and he's finally come into his own. He kind of had to share the spotlight a little bit last year with Winky Williams, but he's the feature back this year, and what a great year Caden's having.
Let me tell you a little story about Caden Weary in the 8th grade. So, Caden Weary of course, plays for Decab. Decab and Hooks. Hooks 8th grade that year. They're the 2 top teams. Mm-hmm. They come out and Hooks scores 30 points in the first half. It's 30-0. Caden didn't play in the first half for whatever reason, but he came in the second half. Decab won 32-30. He was such a dude in the 8th grade that it was like he scored all the touchdowns, he made all the tackles, and pushed his team to the victory.
Good for him, man. I was up in Decab a couple weeks ago. Dr. Young and myself, Tony Basso, and Larry Knight, and got the chance to meet the coach and some of the players, and I like what they have going on there. Good squad.
Was it Coach Z up there?
Yep.
He's doing a fantastic job, and Decab is. They didn't just limp in or sneak in. They've kind of dominated most of their opponents this year.
Yeah, they're a good team.
Scoring
and
a lot of points.
there's definitely a separation between them and second place. I mean, I think Decab's got some good chances to go deep.
I think
this year.
Daingerfield is getting better every week. I think they've proved that. I just don't know how you explain that loss to Decab.
Well, actually, it's quite easy. Chase Johnson had full-blown pneumonia, and he tried to go, and he was just,
Decab folks fixing to roast you, Ben.
Well,
I mean, it like
no, I'm being honest.
So when you say he tried to go, how long did he play in that game? Do you know?
He got sick and played a little bit against Redwater, and he played most of the game, but it was very limited. He couldn't use his legs, and that was also about the time Ashton Williams went down, and Daingerfield had a slew of injuries.
You sound like a Daingerfield fan right now.
No, I'm real big on actually telling people how it went down. I'm not saying Decab couldn't have beat them full strength, but there's a lot of extenuating circumstances.
Frank
in that
Gallagher
game.
even admitted they were the better team.
At the
They were
time.
that night.
At the time, for sure.
Hey, y'all weren't there last week, but man, this Liberty-Eylau Jefferson game, we gotta talk about it. I don't know why Liberty-Eylau not on here. Looking at
Because Ben.
like we have, Ben, you gotta. I don't know, Arkadelphia and Malvern.
Hey,
I don't even care about that. Let's change that to Liberty-Eylau. Like, what's going on here?
That's a great
Like-
game in Arkansas.
That I don't care about. I'll tell you where I'm not going to watch a football game is Arkansas or Malvern. I don't even know where Malvern is. So let's talk about them Leopards.
Well,
All right.
there were a lot of streaming of that game going on after the Pleasant Grove game.
I can imagine.
I was amazed at how many people up in the stands as the game.
That's what
was
I was hearing in other places.
And
people were watching.
I'll let you talk about it, but no, phenomenal
Yeah,
ending.
so the Liberty-Eylau fans showed up. I was really disappointed in that Atlanta game. Atlanta had more fans there than LA, in my opinion. All right, the place was 80% full, and on the Liberty-Eylau side. Jefferson side was full, much smaller stands, though. They played as bad of a first half as you could possibly play. You could not have you couldn't you can't play a worse first half than they played.
5 turnovers.
5 turnovers, and I
Two
think
interceptions.
3 or 4 were in the red zone.
And Jefferson turned it over twice in the
Yeah,
first half.
so-
It's kind of crazy. 7 turnovers first
Like
half.
they kept turning the ball over, and Jefferson did capitalize on at least one of those. Like, but if nothing else, that just kept the ball on their side of the field. And Jefferson has the ball on like the 4-yard line. I literally grab my stuff. I walk over to the other end because, man, I'm down to like eating 1 time a day typically, but I do like to get my donuts on this day of the week for the show. It's one thing I look forward to. But I was starving, so I'm like, man, I'm going to go down here and eat real quick. Jefferson throws a pass. I don't really know why.
Oh, silly.
Gets intercepted, and Liberty-Eylau plays where they have 1 play left, throw a pass to Gabe Jarvis, score, somehow go up with 5 turnovers in a half.
By 1.
They go up at halftime.
Yeah. So, and you talk about that. So of course, I was at the Hoos game and watching at the same time. Watching both games. Well, I knew it was close to halftime, and I know how sometimes running the clock with the clock and all that stuff kind of gets mixed up. And there was like 30-something seconds left, and I thought, okay, so I just quit watching it. Well, then I was talking to a dude sitting by me, and he's like, "Yeah, Liberty-Eylau went in 1 point ahead," and I was like, "There's no way." There was only 30 seconds left. What happened?
I'm sure that coaching staff over Jefferson would like to have that particular play back. You know, in my head, I thought kind of went without saying, hey, run the clock out and go in up, but maybe they thought they had a chance to score. Sometimes you get greedy. But either way, Liberty-Eylau goes in up. They were about as hype as you could be going in because they knew they just played the offense did not play the first half they wanted.
Right.
Defense played a great first half, and come out, and it was like both teams adjusted and started lighting up the scoreboard. That 2-point conversion, the video you see is from my cell phone. Like, there's certain moments where I'm like, a picture won't do this justice. If it happens or doesn't happen, I pull the cell phone out, and that was some backyard football.
It was.
Like, that's some stuff we pulled playing in the street back in the day.
That's little big league stuff.
What's crazy is Liberty-Eylau did everything right.
Yeah.
It just
that's one of them. I don't even know. I was talking to Coach after the game, and he's just, it's unfortunate, but like, everybody did their job.
Right.
That quarterback, evidently, he's done it before this season. Just made a super heads-up play that we can't deny and say he didn't. Like, dude made a heads-up play. Running back ran it in.
Well,
It was.
It's like he was like, I'm going to run it. Oh, that's not going to work. Shovel it off.
Yeah, I mean, they were on him immediately.
Yeah.
I think it was Avion was on him right away. Shovel it off. But then, okay, so there isn't a whole lot of time left. It was like 1:30, let's say. Liberty-Eylau starts driving. And this is the first time where I'm like, okay, you could tell this was a college coach doing this. Because what they did is exactly what you do in college. Like, they get in position to kick a field goal. And they're down there, and somebody's like, can he kick it this far? And I was like, I don't know if he's ever even attempted a field goal. Like, truthfully, that may have been his first field goal attempt ever. And I'm standing by the crossbar, and he kicks it, and it was obvious it wasn't going in. But he really did, because where I was standing, it was coming right at me. But I was right. So I knew it wasn't going in. But then the Liberty-Eylau fans started cheering. And the Jefferson fans were cheering.
Because the angle from it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sitting there like, did I miss this?
Right.
Because it was obvious. I thought it was coming right at me, and then I just put the phone down because I knew I wasn't going to use the video. Liberty-Eylau's going nuts, Jefferson going nuts, and then they're like, oh, he missed it, and Liberty-Eylau fans start booing. And I'm just like,
well, because that angle, because they were on that right side hash, and from that angle, even from like the filming view, because I was kind of watching it, and I was like, did he make it? Is it good? What's going on? And then you're like, oh no, it's no good.
Yeah, and I'd heard on the stream that the camera didn't pan far enough, which is unfortunate. But we got students working those.
Oh man, hey, it was a good production. I'm not knocking it because of that, but just the angle. Because how far off was it? You were standing there.
How far? 5 feet to the left.
All right, so 5 feet, and then they're filming from the top of the press box in that angle. I mean, it looked like it was good.
Yeah, I mean, it like Eylau fans. I saw some people saying it was good online. Like, it definitely. I was standing to the right of what would have been the closest crossbar to you. It for sure was not good. But he did, like, he would have been good from another 12, 15 yards.
Right.
Like, I was surprised. Like, normally you kick it as hard as you can, then you get this wobbly one. It had a chance. It had a chance.
Well, it was impressive to me just the call that Coach Taylor made to go for 2. And, I mean, that was a lot of the discussions because by that time in the Pleasant Grove game, I'd already come down on the field, so I was around all the PG coaches, and they were all watching the game as well. Yeah. And, I mean, and the timeout was called, and they were like, he's going for 2. And, I mean, the discussion's there, and then for them to actually go out there and pull that off, I mean, it just –
They had already
impressive.
they missed, I think, their first extra point. So I think he probably did make the right – or he obviously did make the right decision. But then he also said he didn't want to give Tripp the ball back and have to beat him all over again, It's one thing, hey, make them drive 80 yards. It's another thing, they're 25 yards out, And one of the best football games. Like, man, I go to a lot of football games. Y'all know that. Mm-hmm. And it's very rare for a football game to be a good game, and even rarer for it to come down to the last play.
Right.
I mean, I ain't been to, but I went to that PG game in the Star that was won on the goal line. I can't even remember who it was against. I've been to
Glen Rose, I believe.
Yeah, and then this game. I think it's the only 2 games I've been to that have came down to the last play. And I've been doing football a while.
Then that Hooks Harmony game starts the year last year when Tripp went down.
Yeah, but that wasn't the last play kind of thing. That was a good game.
It was down to a 4th down.
But it's pretty. I'm just saying it's pretty rare to.
I talked to Tripp. I text Tripp, on Saturday, and told him good game and all that stuff, and just told him don't get hung up on that. You got a lot of football left. Hey, he is such a positive mind.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, no, I'm not worried about that. I know we got a lot of games.
But,
left.
To play devil's advocate a little bit, they're kind of in the Gilmer situation. Gilmer gets to die. Like, all right, so if you're familiar with the playoff setup, Pleasant Grove is going to play whoever they play round 1, whoever they play round 2. They're going to play Carthage round 3.
Yeah.
And the winner of that game plays Gilmer round 4. Just like last year. So Gilmer gets to dodge both of those teams, or at least one of those teams, and gets them right at, because that's going to be a physical football game. There's going to, you hope not injuries, but, I mean, there's going to be some at least soreness up until the next week, so you hope you would assume that's affected. This kind of might play into Ellie's hands here. They get to dodge Malakoff. Mm-hmm. At least a week. So they might play Jefferson again. They may play Malakoff in the 4th round. Who knows? But it may end up being blessing in disguise kind of thing.
And I know we don't cover it, but that's going to be a good game this week too. Winsboro and Malakoff.
A lot of people are kind of hyped up. I just don't. I don't know enough about either one of them to have an opinion, I guess.
And I don't either. I just know they're both really good teams in that area.
They're both state ranked.
You're both state ranked, but it's a game of the week. One of the top 10 games of the week.
Well, I guess let's switch it over to this Pleasant Grove Van game, and people aren't giving Van a chance in this game. I don't really understand why.
I believe this is a game Pleasant Grove wins, but Van's gonna test them.
Van's not a bad football team.
They're not. I don't think they've seen anything like Pleasant Grove on defense, but you can't go in there and take them lightly.
Yeah.
And and the other thing is, Pleasant Grove's got a lot to play for because you're still going to if Van wins, you share the district title.
That ain't gonna happen.
No, I don't think so either.
I
think Pleasant Grove wins this game.
But people act like Van's trash, and they're really big. They're a large football team.
So this game is, and I had looked. This game for the district. Whoever wins this wins this district.
No matter what, Pleasant Grove is district champions.
Right. Okay. So there's no factor there.
But they can get a share of it with the win.
Okay, I got you.
And I think that Van would have to beat Pleasant Grove by more than 2 touchdowns to move into the 1st seed.
Right.
And Pleasant Grove isn't even giving up 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
No.
A game.
9.6 points per game.
And Van played Gilmer close. I mean that game was still a game going into the last quarter. So
I don't think Van's terrible. It's just Van's going to be like a lot of those DFW 4A teams. Outside of Carthage and Pine Tree, or Carthage and Gilmer, they really hadn't played anybody. they're a good team. But 2 years ago we played them down in Marshall, and Van came in at like 11-0, and
they were not an 11-0 team.
it was. I mean, we murdered them.
They played a hand-picked schedule. It looked like.
Well, Van's two losses are when they travel, and so that's another stat to sort of
And this game isn't home.
Have to keep up with, So I mean, it's
They can't win on the road.
correct.
They can't win against a good team.
Yeah.
And speaking of
Big better
traveling,
statement.
I mean, I would hate to play against. I mean, what coach is like? All right, let's go play against Pleasant Grove's defense. I mean, they're ruthless, man.
Well, I mean, if you think to be better late, you got to play some good teams early. You just got to. I mean, look at, for instance, Texas High this year. I mean, their district's trash. I mean, I'm sorry. It is. It has been. It doesn't help them going into the postseason.
Well, apparently,
and you can't.
Apparently, Nacogdoches ain't trash because Billy's scared he couldn't come today.
Yeah, Billy said he was worried and didn't want to be on camera. Giving any bullet
he's
material.
worried about Nac or something.
But he scheduled some really tough opponents early on. Like
for sure.
They could have went 0-3, 0-4 to start the year. So because you're probably going to be good, but you don't really ever know until they all go on the field. So he did his part, but you can't help what district you're in.
Right. Yeah, like Coach Sanford, man. To go out and build that preseason, I mean that was tough. It's tougher than his district.
Oh, any of those teams would win that district.
Right.
But hats off to Marshall for playing them well.
Right.
Texas High is everybody's Super Bowl right now.
Exactly.
So, speaking of Super Bowl teams, Dave Campbell's has the Wimberley Texans winning the NFL World Championship.
Man,
I think they could beat Dallas.
Hey, right now anybody can beat them.
Pleasant Grove moved to number 5 in the state rankings. Guess where the Wimberley Texans are? Number 4.
Listen, man, there's some sort of bromance,
Max Preps.
real romance.
Max Preps doesn't even have them in the top 15.
They're not a top 15 team. Listen,
Somebody's
all
getting
right.
a bunch of free Airbnbs.
Where's Canyon Lake at? Any idea?
Canyon Lake, yeah, that's just up. It's up on Canyon Lake from New Braunfels.
Okay, well they suck at football. Fredericksburg, I know where that's at. All right, Austin LBJ, pretty good football team.
Oh, okay, yeah.
All right, didn't win. Lampasas, right up the road from them.
LBJ's ranked too.
Okay, so they lost to a ranked team.
Yes, they did.
Okay, so Lampasas,
Yeah,
historically pretty good football team. I don't know about this year, but they lost to Lampasas.
Who is not?
Geronimo Navarro.
they have been good one time in the last 10 years, and I want to say it was either 18 or 19. They were a top 10 team, and then guess what?
Pleasant Grove
They
beat
go.
them.
Well, no, they went out like round 3.
Salado.
But they were like always ranked.
Saledo's outside of Waco.
Okay,
Pleasant Grove
they
played
beat
them
them.
in the playoffs a few years ago.
some team named Gerald. Some
Gerald,
dude named school after himself. Gerald made his own high school.
I don't know about him.
Gonzalez.
Gonzales is down south
Another
of San
school named after
Antonio
there.
by Victoria.
And then they beat up on somebody named Smithville. Okay. We might as well just not even look at these rankings anymore. Like this is bad. They really believe they're the number 4 ranked team in the state. Okay.
Dave Campbell's does.
Let me just pull up this ranking. Y'all just give me a second. I'm sorry.
But we'll talk about it while you're pulling it up. I did the same thing you did. I looked over their schedule, who they played, went and looked up LBJ, their rank. Of course, I'd seen them ranked before. Lampasas is not ranked and beat them. And then, talk about the teams that are like no-name towns, that have never had a tradition of winning football games or anything, and they beat them up.
Yeah, so listen, you got Carthage at 1. All right, Carthage loses to Kilgore. Pleasant Grove loses to Kilgore in 2 overtimes, but really should have walked away with a win. And then you have Gilmer beats Kilgore. Okay? Carthage number 1. Gilmer's number 7. Pleasant Grove's number 5. Sinton is number 2. I don't know anything about Sinton, but they're undefeated. But they're north of Houston, right?
Yep.
Okay, so then you got Graham, who absolutely demolished Brock.
Show did.
And somebody at Graham knew this was going to happen because they paid social media influencers like Lone Star Sports to be at the game. Like, they paid them to come to that game.
I watched so
and
many
the only
clips.
reason you do that if you know it's about to go down.
Oh, yeah, and they did.
Yeah, so look out for Graham.
The
And then you
Mavericks.
have Wimberley.
No, they're the Steers. They're not.
Oh, the
Mavericks.
Steers.
Which, I mean,
Wimberley
is very
does not
odd.
have one win against a good opponent. Not one single win against a good opponent.
And here's another thing. Take this poll. See who's missing? We just talked about him. You don't see no Brock Eagle. And Brock was number 2, loses to these dudes, and they drop him out of the poll.
That's a great point.
Brock would probably demolish Wimberley.
Well, Brock got – yeah, it did raise some questions. Like, that got to be a top 10 team. But Wimberley at number 4, dude, that's such a joke. It's such a joke. Like, somebody send this to Dave Campbell, because evidently they just ain't trying to hear it from me. Like, this gives you an unbelievable – like, it discredits your entire organization. Like, you can get by with this in – some town in West Texas. Oh, look at them Wembley Texans. They must be pretty good this year. But we know better.
Right.
There's historical evidence. Every time they play a good team, they get dominated. And most of the time, that's on national television.
Well,
and it's not like they compete. They got beat. Carthage could have beat them by 100 points when they played them in the state championship game. I mean, it was embarrassing.
When
They got to stop this, man. Like, it's like like Carthage, Pleasant Grove, Gilmer.
So
Put Graham in there because they just had a big win, and then fill that out with probably, I guess, leave Sinton somewhere up there, even though they hadn't played anybody. I ain't gonna hate on. Let me see if they play anybody. I'm just talking.
well, here's it.
Let's see. Anybody I've seen? They beat Cuero 18-23. I don't know if they're any good this year. They don't have a win against a ranked team. They don't have a win against anybody I recognize. That's a weak schedule. So we find out over and over and over that East Texas football is different. When you get to that 5A Division I, 6A level, guys, it is what it is. South Oak Cliff is just reloading with transfers every year. I mean, it just is. Duncanville, same thing. North Shore, same thing. You can't compete with that. But the heart of Texas football, this 3A, 4A area, like East Texas dominates. It's just it's dumb. I mean, I know rankings really don't matter, but this really does discredit everything about their organization.
Well, speaking of Wimberley, Jay will remember this. Back in 19, do you remember Jackson Watts, the receiver that came in with like 110 catches, and he was making fun of land and he was doing all this? Well, anyway, he absolutely got roasted, on social media back. But when we go play in a state championship game, the PG kids literally beat on him. He had one catch for like -6 yards.
Yeah, it's different, man. Like, I don't know what exact kind of football they're playing down there, but it's not what we're playing up here. And
it's at Central Texas.
I'm not saying Gilmer and Pleasant Grove and Carthage are playing knockdown, drag-out opponents every week. What I am saying is they're playing evidently way better quality opponents than Wimberley is.
Wimberley has a few dudes. They're very fundamentally sound. They run the system.
But against who? The times they've played decent opponents, they've lost.
Well, yeah, but I mean, the games they're supposed to win, they win. That's what I'm saying. Year in, year out, they're
What games? Not state championship games. They get dominated by East Texas teams.
They're 7-2 this year, but they'll come in 10-0. Multiple years. They don't play anybody, but they win the games they're supposed to. They're almost like, you get out there, the Sunnyvales, the Aubreys, all those guys, Cattle Mills. They always run the table and don't get the love. These guys do. And, then they get blown out.
And it's kudos to a team that can go 9-1, 10-0, or even 8-2. But if you're not a ranked team, you shouldn't be ranked.
Right.
And so, the strength of schedule needs to come into play. And once again, we've talked about on previous episodes, they've got to have somebody from that region in the top 10. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, as far as to keep clicks and relevancy of eyeballs in that area to continue to look at their content, but put an asterisk on it or something.
But,
like, for instance, I just pulled
You're
this
here by
up.
default.
West Orange Stark. Okay, let's just go through who they played. They beat Newton. They lose to Nederland 14-13.
Which is
who beat PNG.
Yeah, they played up.
Yeah, beat the 5A Division
Division
II top 3 team. Beat them. Lost to them 14-13. Then they go beat Waco La Vega, another top 10 team in this. Then you got, looks like their district, which doesn't look very good, but Silsbee has been a name.
Jasper's not terrible.
But so they play, like, this Nederland game tells me like they're not scared, okay? And then you flip it over to Wimberley, and it's like they just play nothing but trash. And they don't, like, these teams that beat them aren't even like the Nederland or whatever. You know what I mean? So I don't understand. I don't get it.
West Orange Stark would beat the brakes off of them.
And Graham, they hadn't played like great opponents. Okay, they have a bunch of.
But they've
God, dude,
murdered
they're on
them.
freaking 5 straight shutouts.
Yeah, they don't give up points.
Man, all year. Man, they have 7 shutouts this season. And Springtown was a loss. They gave up 35. And then who else has scored? Decatur scored 14 on them.
You know, out of the top 10,
They got 49 points on the season.
the top 2, the top 2 teams, if you look at the top 10, they've given up 49 points. PG's given up 94. Everybody else is way over 100.
Yeah, let's let this team play some of what Gilmer and Carthage and Pleasant Grove gets to play. But
They're better.
This is impressive.
They're better than Wimberley.
yeah, I mean, to shut out Brock says a lot. I don't care what Brock's got going on. I don't care who's hurt.
Well, Graham's going to have swagger until they get punched in the mouth, and then we'll see, how they can react. So, once they do, face a Gilmer, a PG, or a Carthage,
And-
it'll be interesting, how that comes into play. And I mean, I think this year West Orange Stark, they're looking good.
Yeah.
I know they beat my cousin's team, Tarkington, pretty bad.
And some team called Hampshire Fournette Longhorns. They're ranked in the top 10. They have a
Houston area.
They have a 71-48 loss to Hitchcock, and then they literally played, other than Silsbee, they played Jasper.
And Hitchcock's a bit,
They're ranked
playing
like, number 1 or 2.
And they play West Orange Stark, so we'll see how those two teams, come out of this weekend.
At the end of the day, kudos to Brock, kudos to Graham, to hell with Wimberley.
Yeah, this
But
is just,
my point is, they all have historically good programs, but at the end of the day, they do not have East Texas athletes. They do. They're very well coached. They run their system. They play their assignments, but they don't have the athletes we do, and that eventually catches.
and like in any other division, like it's like you go to 5A Division 2. So Dave Campbell's, all right, now Alamo Heights has to be 2. They're 10-0. We know the football around San Antonio and that area is just not great, but they're 10-0. So you do kind of have to leave them there until. So you got South Oak Cliff, who has 2 losses against 6A teams. South Oak Cliffs, we know, is a good football team, right? So they won state championship, played for it the last 3 years, I think. Alamo Heights, Texas High. Argyle, Richmond, Liberty Hill, Brenham, Port Neches gets beat by Netherlands, moves to 8. Iowa Colony and Prosper. Okay, so it looks like they're not making. Oh, this is my homeboy. We got to show him some love. It looks like none of that's happening right there. You go to 5A Division 1, Aledo Bearcats. They got a loss. They're still at 1. Then you go College Station, Denton Ryan, Highland Park.
all names.
Man, 2 College Station teams. Lufkin at number 7. I didn't realize. Well, I guess Longview beat Lufkin. That's real. I'm not a Lufkin fan.
Frisco Lone Stars, it's still in the top 10.
Let's see if Longview's in the top 25. Yeah. Did y'all see Coach King's interview?
I didn't.
Oh man,
Who did you do an interview with?
epic. Some news station. I guess they had given him a hard time. He's like, yeah, y'all were. It's just the way he said it. I'm not going to say it exactly like he said it, but he had some swag when he did it. He was like, yeah. When we were 0-2 at home, y'all were ready to fire me, give me a hard time. How you like me now? Absolute dominant district championship win, ended with a shutout against North Forney.
Coach King, I love listening to him talk, man. And I'm, I probably would have never even got to hear him talk. And I'm glad y'all started that Longview game day. But I was when I first was it been 2 years now?
What,
that
long?
y'all been there?
This is our third or fourth season.
Third or fourth season? Anyway,
Yeah.
when I heard him get on there and talk, I knew. I was like, it took me back to, like, my coach's days. He is a old school Texas football high school coach.
He's last of a dying breed.
Yes.
He can get away with
stuff that
most
folks
people
can't get away with.
And parents love it. Anyway, we'll spend a lot of time on that. Sorry. All right. PG at Van. That's going to be the only stream we have this week. I would not say that Nacogdoches wasn't accommodating. They just don't have what we need for it to work.
Right.
And, it'll be said, well, Marshall stream there. Well, like, we can't use a wireless hotspot. Like, we have so much going on. Like, we need more of a I'm gonna call it internet base. I don't know what it's really called, but we need more of a
bandwidth.
That's probably perfect word for it. I don't know a whole lot about internet. And Starlink isn't like. Listen, it might work for 20 minutes, but then it's going to go down, and then it'll be back up 4 minutes later, and then it'll go down 30 minutes later. Like, it's just not worth it.
It's better not to show it than try to do it, and then people start griping.
Listen, if they were playing South Oak Cliff, like, we would attempt it,
right.
But like, it's tough when you're going down there, spending a bunch of money, knowing it's not going to work, So, they'll win big. They'll have a home game next week for the first playoff game. It'll be Friday at 7. And we'll be back on it. I'm not sure yet if it'll be on our page or NFHS for round 1, but starting round 2, it'll for sure be on NFHS.
Well,
I hate NFHS.
With Pleasant Grove,
Trash.
we've narrowed down who they'll play in the first round. It'll be Brownsboro, Rusk, or Bullard. Yeah, and here's the irony: they're all three going to have a really bad record in district, and I predict all three lose this week. And by the points, it would be Bullard.
Yeah. So, and Gibson's been great about getting an additional home game, first round of the playoffs.
Oh, I would love for the kids to get to play there one more time.
Yeah, like in 5A, 6A, like that happens. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's everybody knows it's going to happen. But if they're a division, like, they don't have to. So I don't know what kind of deal he's making, or I would assume he's giving them some cash. I don't know how it works, but I think it's one of them things. Like, if I were in that position, like, listen, do you really want us to drive halfway to a game you're not going to win and make me mad? I don't know if that's the conversation that happens, but it might be the conversation I'm having.
Oh,
You know what
sure.
I mean? Like, why don't you just come here? I'll take the starters out at halftime.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure the conversation with the 4-seed coach is like, hey, listen, you're realistically, your chances. I'm sure coast to coast they talk different, but
You know what a stat that I get reminded of? 25% of 4-seed teams upset 1-seed teams last year. That's nuts, but
It don't happen over here.
Not in this scenario,
Right.
But it's crazy that it does happen.
Well, I mean, that's like in one of them tough districts where, I mean, you really have 4 teams that barely beat each other, so on and so forth. Well, that's where a coach will be like, yeah, we're going to play at a neutral site because y'all just ain't just no regular 4-seed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, speaking of a 4-seed team, number 4-seed Liberty-Eylau took out the Canton Eagles when J.G. Kinney come in as state-ranked number 1 team in the state. I'm sorry, it wasn't Canton, it was Gilmer. They took out Gilmer in 2005, I believe.
At Longview.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's right.
people still talk about that game.
And Gilmer was the top ranked team in the state, and like they were going to win it, and then LE knocks them out in round 1.
Yeah, that game is East Texas history. Like, I mean, I remember that game. I wasn't there, but I remember it. Anyway, let's move it along. Sorry about that. Yeah, Texas High game, unfortunately, won't be streaming it. Liberty-Eilau's away. It's really difficult with some of these schools they go play at, like, because they're just they might be able to set up for 1, but they definitely can't set up for 2, and then they don't have the room in the press box. It's just difficult, but they'll get a big win. Billy Lavender will keep us updated on that. New Boston at Daingerfield.
This is a big game. The winner gets a number 2 seed.
Buddy, you've seen them both play.
Yeah, so I was waiting. I didn't know if Ben was going to say something, but I've listened to all the talk this week and read a lot of stuff and seen both teams play. I know how good Daingerfield can be if they're healthy and they got all their their dudes playing, you know, Daingerfield's dangerous. You know, New Boston, man,
They've gotten better all year.
Hey, yes, they're Ashton. He is a big back. He runs hard. You know, look for him to for New Boston just to try to pound it down Daingerfield's throat. I mean, that's what they're going to try to do.
Yeah, they're gonna put it on his back.
Yeah, for sure. And I can't remember number 22's name, so whoever's listening for New Boston, you can help me out with that.
I tell y'all what,
They mix it up with him, with Rowden and him.
these deer know I tagged out yesterday because, boy, they are on my feeder this morning. This beeping y'all are hearing, these deer with a feeder right now. So they know the deer assassin ain't coming down there no more.
So I know our friend Frank Gallagher, he ain't gonna like none of this, but man, you know, you can't take New Boston lightly coming into this game. I mean, they're gonna have to play them. It's gonna be a physical game, and you know, just like you know, the player of the week, Irwin. Man, he's gonna be all over the field making tackles. I mean, he's all over the field. He's everywhere. So I look for this to kind of be a close game.
I don't think New Boston's defense can hold Daingerfield. And if you go back and look at all the district games, New Boston has allowed more points being scored than Daingerfield did against the same opponents, except for Hugh Springs, and they shut them out. So it's not like you can make them score negative points. But I mean, I don't think that New Boston's offense is going to be able to take advantage of any weaknesses that Daingerfield could have on defense.
Yeah, and I can't argue with that. You know, I mean, that's a way to look at it too. And shout out 22 is Jamar Smith. Yeah, you know, can't argue with that. It's going to be a tough game. You know, New Boston's they're going to play a game. I mean, and like Jay said, one thing I can say, and I've seen this from Chase and what's Kenny's last name? Mosley. Chase I think he threw the ball 60 yards in the air. I'm talking just throws it and Mosley just runs up under it. I don't know how much they practice that since they've been little kids. I mean, but it's like they've done that before so many times that it is very scary for any team because he'll rear back and throw it, and then Mosley just be standing up under it, or
Mason Williams.
Let's go to the Ben Watts Chemical Bowl game. Arkadelphia at Malvern. It's the only reason I can think we're talking about it is because he's got some customers out there.
This is a
And
top.
their kids probably play on the team. Tell me, am I lying?
Malvern's 9-0.
Is anything I said a lie?
You selling seed out there?
He's selling seed. That's not chemicals. What am I talking about?
Yeah.
He's selling soybean. What are you selling out that way? What are you trying to sell today?
They buy a little bit of stuff over there.
A little bit. I bet they buy a little bit if they're on here.
But Arkadelphia and Malvern, top 10 matchup. I know that Morgan isn't a fan of the Arkansas football, but in 4A,
It just gets proven over and over.
This is the biggest game in 4A, Arkansas all year, or not all year, but this week.
You gonna be there?
No, absolutely
Well,
not.
It's the biggest game, Ben. It's the biggest game.
I'm going to be at Pleasant Grove for senior night. But anyway, I know Morgan's, he don't like it, but this is a big game.
Speaking of senior night, are you gonna cry?
No.
You ain't gonna cry for your son?
Are you going to the game?
Yeah, I'm gonna be there.
Make sure you get that photo. Stick that camera in his face.
I got Wayne Grubbs coming. He's gonna take care of our senior photos for us.
Yeah.
I got you.
Ben.
Yeah.
You know, man. I know you. Hey.
I haven't seen anybody cry yet. Because you're walking to take a photo. Probably after the game is when it's gonna get emotional. And nobody really cries till the season's over anyway. And then it hits you that I'd never been a crier, but I remember playing my last high school snap. And it was emotional.
Hey, I can't lie. So when we got beat out of the playoffs, and I finally realized that you're done. Yeah, it does.
I mean, I knew I was going to play college ball, so it was a little bit different, but it was super emotional. Like, Daingerfield knocked us out in Mount Pleasant. A game we should have won and didn't. They just played a better football game. But anyway, it was – everybody's been through it. There's not one – well, I say there's not one. Unless you go out with a Super Bowl win and retire.
Right.
you've experienced what every athlete experiences. That's what makes sports special, man.
Like
we can all, like everybody watching that plays sports, if you cared and you were invested in it, you know exactly what we're talking about.
I know Buddy derailed the 4A talk in Arkansas, but while we're on it,
I thought we were off of it.
No,
Nobody was paying attention.
Malvern's gonna get their first loss. Last 10 games, Arkadelphia's 8-2 over Malvern, and Arkadelphia does have 2 losses, but they're against very good teams.
So it's a Ben Watt Seed Bowl.
Maybe, but anyway, back to the senior night at PG that Buddy brought up, or he, did whatever. Here's a fun fact, Jay. Out of the seniors left, only 2 of them have played since 7th grade, uncut, to seniors. Do you know who those 2 are?
One is your son.
That's one.
And Landon.
Lance Jackson.
Yeah.
Lance. Sorry.
Because Landon came over, Barry came and went. Jarrett set out last year, and we've only got 7 or 8 of them left. And when we were our very first game, when this group was in 7th grade, I think there were 66 kids or something. The A and the B team, Brody and Lance and Jarrett, they played on the A team. Atlanta beat us 40-0, and I'm not sure we had 5 first downs. That's how crazy it is. Fast forward 6 years, we beat that same Atlanta team 33-3.
I hear stories like, and I tell kids this all the time. Like, typically you go out to these little league fields, and that kid that's dominating everybody just matured faster than everybody. Okay? You might have a kid that's skilled every now and then, but typically they just matured faster than everybody. And typically that's not the kids I played with in high school, only 2 of us played high school football out of our entire little league team, and I wasn't one of the good ones. Joel Armstrong was good from start to finish.
Right.
Like he was good. Played quarterback at Longview, also played at Rice. But the kids that are just dominant at this age typically aren't going to be when they get into high school. But half the battle is literally just grinding it out, just being present every season, doing your job. You get better every year. I didn't get to be a decent football player until I was probably a sophomore in high school. I wasn't bad, but I didn't like I couldn't get on the field at Longview. I'd get to play kickoff and stuff like Longview. There's just a lot of talent there, but man, them grades came out, and it was your boys. It was your boys' time to shine, and I did, and I never lost that job after that. But it's just it's one of them things where you just kind of have to grind it out, and it's tough. But outlasting the other kids is just part of it. Like everybody wants to play, but then you get some. Let's say it's a little adversity here and there. You get adversity 2 years in a row. Hey, or then you get on, a freshman team. Man, Dad, they're. I remember this happened to me. I'm at Longview, and man, those varsity football players might as well have been Refrigerator Perry to me. Right. Man, they make us get up there and hold dummies, and them dudes freaking just run us over every play, and we can't do anything. And I remember coming home bleeding from my gums. Getting lit up by these varsity dudes because you're a freshman in high school. Those dudes they're NFL players to you.
You look up.
There's a difference between 18 and a 14-year-old.
Yeah. So and then the same thing happened in college. You're not scared anymore, but it's just like this is a grown man and I'm not.
For real. Yeah.
So just outlasting those guys, but then you hear Nick Martin wasn't even good in middle school. Clayton Smith didn't start till he was a freshman in high school. Right. And I'm sure Landon was bell to bell, but it's just you hear some of these stories and we want to make it fun. I don't think my son just had a ton of fun this year. I mean, he still hadn't got his first big hit in to make him unscared of getting hit. Hey, it doesn't hurt. I mean, it can hurt, but you know what I mean.
Well, I can tell you this. My youngest son started out the same way. He begged me when he was in 2nd grade. Dad, I don't want to play flag football. I want to play tackle. And I was like, no. You need to finish flag with your buddies. So I let him play. I finally got tired of hearing it. So I said, okay. But here's the deal. You're not quitting after the first time you get hit. You want to play with these 3rd and 4th graders, I'm going to let you. So I let him play. And he did fairly well. He was real skeptical about getting hit and all that stuff. But once he figured out, hey, if I just don't stand here and let them run me over, it don't hurt as bad.
Yeah.
Hey, and after that, once he figured out that he was the same size as them,
yeah,
and he could do some damage, Oh, it was gone.
It feels a lot better to hit than get hit.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You know, but with that being said, like since we're on the topic of Little League football, the football in our area is so great. It's so great, and we can't not mention these guys giving time these Little League programs because a lot of it starts right there. And we have some great high school coaches and middle school coaches, but these Little League coaches are keeping the kids interested.
Or
and
getting
wanting
them
to play.
putting them together and at least getting them started.
Listen, I don't. Nobody likes to coach these Little League teams. I don't think anyway. Like I can't do football. I'm way too busy during football season. But I coach my kids' Little League basketball.
Ben
teams.
knows some guys that are pros.
Yeah, I mean, there's some pro Little League coaches I know, but like it ain't that serious to me. Like,
Right.
Hey, we can run these plays every day in practice, but you ain't gonna run them in a game. Like I know that, and the parents think they know that. They don't. Like, they'll get upset sometimes. But, like, are we here for them to learn how to play basketball and have fun? I am.
But I also like to
you
win.
want them to keep coming back every single year. And, you if you can find a coach who can at least teach them the fundamentals and create an atmosphere of wanting to return the next year, that's the win at the peewee level, the elementary level.
Some coaches do take it that serious. I had Kel Looney. Long story short, I had I somehow ended up with the 3 best players in the entire league on my team. It was a job for us not to blow people out and let the kids who it's not their fault, they're that much better than everybody else.
I know the year.
Yeah, I would go out. I remember the last game, I told those parents, hey, these other kids that hadn't played as much, they're just going to play the entire game. And, nobody complained.
Right.
Now, we ended up losing. I wasn't trying to lose, but we ended up losing, and somebody else got knocked out of the playoffs because of it. He was upset, but, kind of what's right is right kind of thing. Those parents understood, but I've been on the other end of that.
Hey,
I was on the other end of that last year. It was like trying to beat me as bad as they can. Like, dude, it ain't that serious.
Speaking of that, this is a quick shout-out. Justin Cannon just come on and was watching live. He actually is a volunteer youth basketball coach in the Hooks Youth League. He don't even have a kid in the fight.
Yeah, he's doing way better than me.
And kind of a funny little kicker of that too. I had a parent a couple years ago. He's coached it for numerous years, just because he likes to help the youth and basketball. And they called me and said, "Hey, because I do run the league. I'm the commissioner over it." And they said, "Buddy, he's playing daddy ball over there. His son is playing 100%, and my son gets no playing time." And I said, "His son?" And she was like, "Yes, his son, the long-haired boy." And I said, "He's a volunteer coach. He don't even have a kid on the team." And she was like, "Are you serious?" And I was like, "Yeah, his kids are grown." And they were like, "Well, they let the long-haired boy play all the time." I said, "Hey, listen, I have no control over that. You're going to have to just talk to him about that." But he's a good guy, man, for volunteering his time for the youth basketball.
Tatum at Jefferson.
Jefferson Buffetti.
All right. So why didn't you just put LE and Sabine up here and say LE by Fitty?
I would say had to say.
Yeah, are you an LE hater? Because you don't ever put them up here. You don't ever put them up here.
Ben,
They're up here. This is the first.
This is
week.
not. They are not up here every week. They are not up here every week, Ben.
Hey, Donovan, can you pull the records that LE's been up here?
I would love to pull it. I'm telling you, they ain't been up here, Ben.
Don't co-sign
they're not
for
up
him.
here.
Hey,
I'm telling you, you have not been putting them up here.
I'll go through the text message.
hey, and listen to this.
Perfect. Do that.
Several
Find
times.
And
Several times. They should be up here every week. They're a top 5 ranked team in the state.
And listen, I can dig through text messages where I talk to Ben or even on the phone. Hey man, Liberty-Eylau this. Oh, Liberty, man, buddy, it's too soon to say anything. He's negative against them, man.
I'm not negative, but I did pick the correct winner last week, unlike Buddy.
Well, of course, I want my local team to win.
Well, yeah, but you get emotional. I use logic and
I didn't pick
science.
Liberty-Eylau
Listen,
emotionally.
I
really thought they could win. I said they could have.
I was a little bit conflicted because, it's great for us. Liberty-Eylau wins. Man, if Liberty-Eylau, this city's on fire this week. Liberty-Eylau wins that game. You could tell by the fans' reaction with that field goal, they wanted that district championship.
Right.
But then, man, we're friends with these guys down at Jefferson. I have personal relationships with them, so I'm happy for them. But I also would have been very happy for Liberty-Eylau to win it too.
Yeah.
But
exactly.
Then you got Ben hating on them this week, not even putting them up here. But got Arkadelphia and Malvern that not one single person watching cares about at all.
Man, he's done sold some cottonseed or some soybean seed or something.
I mean, we got New Boston and Daingerfield. No disrespect to them, but like Liberty-Eylau is a Texarkana team. I need you to do some soul searching.
Ellie's been up there 5 times.
And this is week 10. That's my point. Like, I don't understand. Find me a week Texas I hadn't been up there. PG hadn't been up there. Like, come on, dude.
You're a 50.
You're putting them up there 50% of the time?
It was 6 times because we had Carthage.
You're a 50% hater.
4 times. 4 times? Is that
Even
true?
worse.
It's week 10, Ben. This is some hating. Ben is now not known as Ben anymore. It is.
You had to correct it so 5 because
I did. Oh, he didn't put them on there that one week, and I told you to change it. No, we're putting them up. I remember that. Yeah. So it's Ben, King, Hater, Watts from now on.
Yeah.
So is it Leopard King Hater or what?
Just King, Hater in general.
Hey.
From now on, no more Arkansas up here. Except for I'll allow Arkansas High, which if they win tonight, they're in the playoffs, right?
Likely.
They'll need a little help. They'll need a little help, but they have to win tonight to even have a chance. Or tomorrow.
Modify my statement. I'll allow Arkansas High, Falk, Genoa. We can talk about some Ashdown.
And West Memphis.
Maybe Hope if they do something.
West Memphis.
Memphis.
But not without approval.
Hey.
No more from this dude.
This shows you he does not follow the Arkansas. He said maybe Hope. Hope ain't won a game in 2 years or something.
Well, I'm just saying, just in case something happens over there, I may allow it. All right? But Liberty-Eylau from here on out stays up. Don't let him do it. Liberty-Eylau, King Hater, Watts. Ben, Liberty-Eylau, King Hater.
Coach Willard,
Well,
watch
I'm
him
gonna figure out
around
something better.
your players now.
Hey, Coach Fowler said he's going to come over and smack you over the head with that,
big
Rockies
old ring.
guy. Going to knock you smooth out. Not putting the Eylau boys up here.
Well, I mean, I'm trying to be fair and balanced here.
Fair and balanced?
This ain't Fox News.
Well, it should be.
You can't trust them either. You can't trust none of these news stations. You can literally put Fox on and CNN on at the exact same time, and it'll be the exact opposite opinions.
I only watch CNN. I mean, because they're so credible.
I ain't gonna get into all that.
Ben. That's about as credible as that Arkadelphia Malvern game up there.
This dude literally came in here with Arkadelphia Malvern with no Liberty-Eylau. See, I didn't actually read what was going up there in the text because it only shows the first 2. I just assumed. But anyway, Liberty-Eylau is playing Sabine, right?
Yes.
I think they're at Sabine.
Yes.
Going to be a blowout, but,
I actually, in my mind, had changed the Jefferson game off of there, but,
I bet you did.
made a mistake.
King Hater. All right. Well, I ain't got anything else, y'all.
No, good luck this week to all the teams. They're closing out district, and hope everybody that's going to playoffs.
You know who else? Hooks and Decab ain't up here.
He's hater. We don't want to talk
Hold
about
on, we have some decent games being played in our area, and I don't know how I'm just now noticing. It's at Decab? No, it's at Hooks.
And the only reason he put Daingerfield up here is he's afraid Frank make fun of him on Facebook.
He's either afraid of Frank or he's got some love relationship with Daingerfield because he's been loving Daingerfield for a while now.
Hey, I follow the athletes. Daingerfield has athletes. They got great fans. They got Frank Gallagher.
So you're saying
Hold on,
that
Liberty-Eylau has quite possibly a
Liberty-Eylau-
record-setting quarterback for our area as far as stats go. He may statistically, by the time this is over with, be the best quarterback to ever come out of our area statistically. You have Prevost, a 4-star wide receiver, 4-star defensive back, and you follow the athletes, huh?
Well, here's
You follow the athletes. You got Avion Golden out there, defensive line, racking up crazy stats. You have Jay Sean up there balling out, but you're following athletes, and they can't get up there.
They are throwing up some crazy stats over there. You're right. But
I need you to publicly apologize.
all right, to the Leopard Nation, we're very sorry that we.
No,
left-
not we.
No,
Not we.
weird.
Ain't no
Say
we.
you.
No, don't be throwing me in on this
I
apology.
apologize to the Leopard Nation, but
No buts. No buts.
Buddy,
No buts.
Buddy has such a love affair and is so emotionally attached to LE that I have to keep it balanced.
This ain't balanced. You're taking them off the ballot. You can't even vote for them.
Hey, they're
Like,
going
what
to
are
be
you
up there.
talking about?
They're going to be up there every week for the playoffs.
Because I'm going to make sure they're up there. If you had it your way, they wouldn't be. I bet you the week I wasn't here, they didn't talk about it one time. Did they?
He had nothing but Arkansas over there.
yeah,
Oh my
It
God!
was
He must have known I was.
Murfreesboro. I mean, it was all kinds of
we
stuff.
have never had more than one Arkansas game up there. Don't lie, buddy. Don't lie.
I don't remember. I had to look back, but it was pretty good. There was 3 or 4 of them up there.
See, he just said he has no idea. He's just talking.
There was 3 or 4 of them up there.
Best of luck, Coach Outlaw and Arkansas High tonight. Hope you get that dub, get in the playoffs. Appreciate y'all watching.
Yes, sir.
All right, until next time.